Hi, I'm Senior Grandmaster Jimenez from Kajukenbo Live, coming out of South Lake Tahoe, California. Today we're going to do Chapter 6, Las Vegas, Sinatra, the Casino Life, and a few other stories. But before I go on to this one, I want to thank all the viewers that viewed Chapter 5. It was one of the highest viewed chapters so far on our Kajukenbo Live. So I appreciate it, and I appreciate all the positive feedback calls that I got on this. It just wasn't from the YouTube channel. I got tons and tons and tons of emails and messages from people from around the world that enjoyed the interview and liked it. And keep in mind, this book that I'm making, everything it said is 100% accurate. There's nothing, no ifs, ands, or buts. It's a 100% true fact. If it's not, I won't even say it. I won't bring it up. Only if it's the fact and it's the truth. So, keep in mind, if anybody doubts anything, it's coming from the heart and it's all true. So today, the casino life. I'll give it a little rundown. When I started, I was 16 years old. My girlfriend and her mom and her grandpa took me to Reno for the first time. Never been to a casino ever. And I walked in, I'm like, seeing all the slot machines, the old slot machines, not like they have now. Anyway, so I wasn't 21, but like most kids, I thought, well, I'm going to try it. So I got I didn't have that kind of money. So I think I took like $2 or $3, and I put $1 in that thing. I put $1 in, and I hit $17, 3 bells, those little yellow bells on a dollar machine. Well, the old dollars it always paid out in real silver dollars. So remember, the silver dollars went clank, 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 clank. So I'm looking around and going, oh my God, I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm gonna get arrested. I didn't know, because I wasn't 21. I almost took off running, but I thought, no, you look more stupider if you took off running. So I just stood there with my red face, and I gathered up my $17. And I remember looking down going, man, I put $2 in so far, and I got $17 back. Well, when you're 16 years old, $17 was a lot of money. So that's how I started off. And then I started off with that, and after that, of course, obviously, I got a little older and stuff. And I remember Senior Grandmaster Vargas, we used to go snow skiing all the time. And again, we weren't 21 yet. And we used to play the 25-cent machine at Harris, me and James Steiner. And I think that the main jackpot was like $37.50. And they had to pay you the $37.50. Like so many quarters came out, and then you had to pay the $37.50. Anyway, we would win. If you won the jackpot at $37.50, they'd never pay us. They'd come over and go, oh, you have ID? I forgot I left it in my room like everybody else says. Sorry. And he just walk away. So we never got the $37.50. But we still sat there like dummies and played it because, it's just fun. Then later on, when I got 21, I started gambling a little bit heavier. And my grandma used to go all the time, take the bus with her girlfriends and go to Reno. And she'd come back, I won $1,200. I won $800. Or one time she won $1,800, and she was so excited. Little old lady, And then... but never went. So then I took my brother skiing one time. So we decided to go to Reno from there. And my grandma was there. And we put the dollar machines, and just you win a couple here, $200 here, I think $150 was the main jackpot. We got kind of hooked. And ever since then, I started playing. And as I got a little older, I started playing with a little more the high dollar machines. Like when I was younger, the $5 machine was like the biggest one. It was like, oh, you playing the $5 machine, Well, when I got a little older, I started playing the $5 machine, and I started, doing pretty well. Win a few bucks and stuff. It was kind of cool. So then my aunt Joanne, she used to go to Las Vegas a lot, and she's like, why don't you come up here? Because I played Las Vegas a couple times, and then I was like, okay, I'll go with you. So we started playing. Well, we got hooked. And we started playing really heavy and heavy and heavier and heavier. And pretty soon I spent 7 years there. I would spend 7 days here, 7 days in Las Vegas. 7 days here, 7 days in Las Vegas. I did this for 7 years, from 1992, from 1999. I never missed those every other weeks in Las Vegas. And I had a good staff at the karate studio that I was able to leave with Grandmaster Baca and several other ones running the studio when I was gone. And so I was pretty comfortable, in doing so. But we gambled so heavy. And a lot of people, when I tell this story, they think that I'm pretty much full of shit, including my family. Until one time I took my grandmother. We were in Tahoe, and I said, come with us. So me and my mom and her, I took her to the casino. Within 20 minutes, half an hour, I was already up 20 grand. And she told me, she used to call me son. She goes, son? She goes, you know what? She goes, I never believed the stories that you guys told about the casino. I always thought you guys were full of shit. He goes, until I seen it with my own eyes. He goes, and I can't believe the amount of money won in such a short time. Because remember, again, we're not playing the dollar machine or the $5 machine. We're playing the $25 machine, the $100 machine. It's $200 a pull, $50 a pull. So anytime something comes up, it's pretty huge. You play a $100 machine and you get 3 mixed bars, which if anybody plays slot machines, they know that you get $10 on a dollar machine. When a $100 machine, you get $1,000. You get 10 coins. And the coins go clunk, 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 and they're beautiful gold coins. And so the more you play, the more you're going to win. So now I get back to Las Vegas. When we used to play, my aunt gambled way heavier than I did. I was going through probably about $200,000 a month. She was going close to $500,000 a month. Now again, that's not just our money, that's the casino's money too. So for example, let's say I put a $200 in there and 3 mixed bars come up and $1,000 came in. Okay, well I won $800 because I put 200 in. But then I take that 800 and I put it back in instantly. I might lose it. Okay, but you keep circulating through that machine. So at the end of the week, that's the kind of money that we've gone through. But in doing so, the casino considered us whales, and they gave us penthouse suites. Caesar's Palace, RF beat us everywhere we went. That's room, food, and beverage. Anything we wanted, the casino gave. They knew I liked chocolate-covered strawberries. We'd come to our suite, and the suite that me and my aunt stayed in, to give you an example, had 3 jacuzzis in it. That's how big the suite is. It's like a penthouse. And I always have like a big silver platter full of chocolate-covered strawberries, the white chocolates. I like white chocolate and the black. And my aunt would have, a dozen roses and a bottle of Dom Perignon champagne waiting, and I just took the champagne home. I never didn't drink it up there. But long story short, we are so accustomed to that. And I'm talking about anything you want. The slot host would offer me at nighttime, Tony, I want me to send up a girl. Now I told him no. He goes, I'll send 2 up. I'll send 3 up. It's on Caesars. Now these women aren't like prostitutes that you see, like nasty ass ones. They're like supermodels. But I wasn't into the hooker thing. I just wasn't my thing. So then I always tell him no. And then I go back to the room and I'll think to myself, hey, this guy probably thinks I'm a homo or something, So I got to go down the next day and explain to him, oh, it's not bad. It's just that, I got my aunt, and I'm not really into the hooker thing, and stuff. And, so he would just laugh. Like, oh, we know, because this wasn't the hooker thing. Now, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to have a halo on my head. The change girls and stuff like that, all the time. They come to the room. After not supposed to, but they do. They come to their room and, whatever. Or the slot hosts and stuff. You get a hold of certain slot hosts and they're just like, you're a buddy for the week. And you kind of read through that. But anyway, in doing so, we got a lot of perks. Like, for example, George Burns' 98th birthday party. Tony, you want to go? Sure. I had cake with him after. He was a very nice little guy, real nice man. He gave me a cigar, one of his cigars, which he smoked a El Producto, which is a 50-cent cigar. You think he was smoking an expensive cigar, but he didn't. And that cigar, I put it in a little glass tube, and I kept it for years. And just recently, I sent it to my high school friend, Dee, and because she liked George Burns, so I kind of surprised her with a gift that you could not buy. Nobody can ever give that to you because he's already passed. So that was kind of a cool gift. Frank Sinatra, he was Frank Sinatra. He was the man. I mean, he was at Desert Inn, and I got invited to his 80th birthday party, and he didn't like the guy across looking at his balcony, so they had to put a bunch of trees that block the balcony so people can't look at him. He was just a pretty cool guy, and he gave I think my mom and one of my friends, and he gave my mom and he gave my friend a set of cassette tapes, and he gave me a bottle of Tiffany's cologne. And it was such a cool time because we had a cocktail party before his birthday party thing or show thing. And that we walked the red carpet, and in the cocktail party, I mean, there was every kind of celebrity you can think was there. Andrew Dickinson, everybody. Tony Curtis came up to us and, "Hey, I'm Tony Curtis." And I kind of laughed. I go, "Oh, I know who you are." He sat with me and my mom, and had a cocktail and just laughed. And he was a really nice man, But in doing these perks, you get to meet all these people, and so you're in that little clique. And some of the people, the celebrities and stuff, they were nice. Some of them, they were just total assholes. I wouldn't walk across the street to help them. They just thought they were better than other people. I sat with Jerry Lewis at the Navratilova and Connor's match. He showed me pictures of his child and stuff. So it was kind of a cool thing. I mean, remember, I did this for like 7 years. So no matter what event it was, I get a phone call from my slot host, Valerie, and she'd be, "Tony, you want to go to Holyfield fight?" "Yeah, of course." Boom, done. "Hey, Tony, we're having a cocktail party around the pool on Friday. We'd like to have you here." "No problem." Boom. In fact, I even took Grandmaster Willis one time to the pool party. So it was just kind of like a big Disneyland for like adults. And especially if you don't have to pay for those things, even though in the long run you pay, but it's just nice to do, And I remember at Christmas time, it was just like beautiful. And I remember always walking into Caesar's Palace. And Caesar's Palace, what they used to do, they used to spray the cologne in the air vents. So that's how they sold their cologne. So when you'd walk in, you'd have that smell. And and it's funny because me and my aunt, as soon as we hit the doors at Caesar's, the limousine would pull us up. First thing we look at each other and go, "We're home," because there's our home for another 7 days. And it was just an amazing, amazing time. A lot of money was won, a lot of money was lost, but it was a time that I would never take back in a lifetime, because most people don't do that. I mean, the money I was making in like going to dinner one night, I won $56,000. After dinner, put it all back. I sold my '56 Chevy one time, and I flew to Vegas. By the time I got to my room, the 20 grand was gone. And then there's other times that I go there, and you just can't lose. Everything I touch was gold, and I'd have like a fortune when I come back. And that's how a lot of things were bought and stuff like that, the cars and things like that. For example, I wanted to buy a Rolls Royce. So I called up my slot host, which was at the Desert Inn at the time. And I said, "Hey, I'm looking for a Rolls Royce. If you find one, let me know." And I didn't think like right away. Within about an hour, she calls me up. I was in my house in Tahoe. She said, "Tony, I got one right now." She said, "Just fly up here, and I'll pick you up in the limousine at the airport." So I wasn't doing anything, so I said, "Sure." So I took a jet over to Las Vegas, and she picked me up, and we went down, and there's the car. And I'll get to that deal in a minute about the car, because there's a story that goes to that. But that's the kind of stuff that we would do. Would just be unbelievable. But now, here's the bad part. When you're playing that kind of money, you get all the scamsters try to come in. Now, when we played the high-end area, you couldn't go in there and just sit behind us and watch. They would boot you out. And usually, if I'm playing a machine, I usually had a butler over here with a little towel with a bowl of, he looked like shrimp, and it's a bowl of shrimp. And on this side of me, I have the girl look like she was I.G. Magini, with her boobs popping out with hot steaming towels. So I would do this, wash my hands, give her the towel. And it sounds like such a spoiled, asshole doing that. But that's the way back then, they did the things. But you got people seeing that, you got the scamsters. Now, one of the guys that was in our little clique for these 7 years, his name was Don Mabry. And he looked like Orson Welles. Big, giant, burly guy. That's how he would talk. And he was older than me. I was 30. He was probably in his, late 50s, 60s maybe, 60s. Anyway, his wife, blonde, very beautiful, not trampy, classy, looked like a movie star. And in the 7 years, I watched him win like hundreds of thousands of dollars. So one day, actually, we were flying back home, and my Don tells me, he's like, "Hey, I want to ride back in the limousine with you, Valerie, and my slot host, my aunt, and his wife." So I said, "Okay." So I started talking, and he said that Ron Howard wanted to start making a martial art movie, and he wanted to bring out a new martial art star, and they wanted me to do it. So I was kind of like, whoa, you're kind of throwing back. I was all, really? And he's like, yeah. He goes, I talked to Ron Howard. He's my friend. He wants to produce this movie. It's a good budget. He goes, we'll set you off. He goes, we'll start you off like at $2 million. And just, really made it sound really good, right? So I was like, kind of like, oh, wow, okay. Yeah, done deal. So long story short, we flew home, and then I flew back, and we had played in this slot machine tournament. And it was like 20 grand to enter. I wear a tuxedo at nighttime for the banquet. Jay Leno was the one that gave out the I think it was like $250,000 was first place, I think. And anyway, it was really nice. And Don was there in his tuxedo. Then he tells me, he's like, hey, he goes, I want to cut you into how I make some money. I said, okay. He goes, whatever you give me, he goes, I'll double it. It had something to do with some oil well stuff. And I was like, okay. Now, this part of me over here, I'm thinking scam. This part over here going, well, I've known him for like 7 years. I watch him win hundreds of thousands of dollars. He's, I can't see him wanting to scam me for stuff like that. So I said, okay. So I was going to my house the following weekend in Lake Tahoe. And he goes, I'll meet you in Lake Tahoe. I'll drive from Las Vegas to Lake Tahoe, and I'll meet you there. We'll swap some money. And he goes, and I'll double it for you. So I said, okay. So I kind of threw a little feeler out there. I gave him like 10 grand. And he said, okay, thanks. And this would piss me off. I gave him 2 karate jackets, too. Him and his wife were walking around with him and his Kajukenbo jackets. And like I said, he was just like Orson Welles. It was hella huge. Anyway, so the following day, he's like, hey, I'm going to go buy some property up here. He goes, you want to go? So I took myself and my girlfriend, and him and his wife went, and he wanted to go to the Kaiser Estates. Now, the Kaiser Estates is where they filmed The Godfather. So I said, okay. So we get over there. It's it's all gated open. You can't just drive in. So they let us in. The real estate guy met us, and it's expensive property. And this is in the 90s. So you can imagine what it is now. The condo he was looking at was $3.5 million, all furnished. It's a condominium. It's not a house. It's a condominium. And then the one next to it was $1.8 million. So he looked at them both. We looked at him like, oh, that's cool. So I don't know which one he wanted. So we went downstairs. And have you ever watched The Godfather when Al Pacino had his brother killed and he's standing in the window? That's exactly where we did the deal, was in that room. It was kind of creepy and cool at the same time. After I stood in that window, and I was kind of tripping me out because after seeing the movie, him standing right there. But it was kind of cool. Anyway, the real estate guy goes, so what do you think? So Don tells the real estate guy, we're going to buy them both. And his wife goes, Don, why would you want both? She goes, well, I'll take the one for $3.5 million. We'll take the one for $1.8 million. I'm going to give it to Tony. And I was like, what? He goes, yeah, we're going to make all kinds of money on this movie. He goes, you just pay me back one day. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So long story short, when went back, and then went to go have dinner, and he handed me a check for 20 grand. He goes, here's 20 grand. He goes, I'll just give you your money back now because it's going to come. Plus your profit. And I went, okay. I go, well, wow, okay, thanks. So a day or so later, we were in line getting a hot dog like a fat ass, both of us, at this sports bar. And he goes, it was my birthday coming up. He goes, here, I got a birthday present for you. And he had a check rolled up in his hand. And he hands me a check for $50,000. So I'm all $50,000. I go, I don't need this for my birthday. Come on, it's enough. He bought me the house, the condo, and that, this and that. No, that's nothing. Don't worry about it. Here, so I have $70,000 in checks from him. So I'm like, okay, great. So he goes back to where he lived in Kansas City. He said he lived in a big mansion in Kansas City. I'd never been there. So he went, and then I went back and I did my stuff. Went to Las Vegas a couple times, and then he wasn't there. And then I went back. So then this is where the Rolls Royce comes in. So when I called up Valerie about the Rolls Royce, she told me to come down and check it out. Well, I flew down there. In the limousine was Don and his wife. It surprised me. So I was like, hey, how's it going? So they said, oh, hey, how's it going? Da, 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 all that good stuff. So then he goes, yeah, I want to take a ride with you. Look at this Rolls. So I said, okay. He goes, but let me make the deal. He goes, because I know how to do it. And I went, all right. Anyway, long story short, we looked at the car. I liked it and stuff. And I tell the guy, I said, I'll take it, And Don made the deal with the amount. And Don goes, no. He goes, that's my gift to you. I said, no. I said, no, my gift. So he pulled out a wad of hundreds this thick. And he peeled off a bunch of hundreds. And he gives it to the guy. And he goes, my attorney will wire you the money on Monday. He goes, and you'll send the card to Anthony or Tony. So the guy's like, yeah, no problem. And I'm thinking to myself, well, you have to do that, So we went back to the Desert Inn and played a little bit of poker, but I had to fly back to my house in Tahoe that night. So I got back on the jet, flew back. And then Monday come, Tuesday come, Wednesday come. I don't hear anything. I'm thinking, what the hell? It was my car, right? So then I called the guy up that sold me the car. I said, hey, where's my car? He's supposed to be shipping it. And he's all, car? He's all, that fat son of a bitch. He goes, as soon as you left, about an hour later, he comes back and got all his money back and told me that you were going to buy the car. And my stomach just sunk when I heard that. So I was like, no. I go, but I want the car. I also wire you the money. So I wired him the money that day for the car. And then the Imperial Palace shipped the Rolls Royce to me in San Leandro. Anyway, instantly I knew this guy's full of shit now. And I'm sitting on $70,000 in checks. So I checked the Charles Schwab account. Sure enough, no money. Nothing. And the guy wouldn't tell me much because, I wasn't on the account. But then he wound up telling me, he goes, oh, sir, you need to call the police. So I called the South Lake Tahoe Police Department because that's where I transferred the money to him or gave it to him. And so they wanted to arrest him. But they weren't going to go to Kansas City. Because come to find out, he'd been scamming all kinds of people with the same Charles Schwab check. So I told the detective in Tahoe, I said, I'll get him to go to Las Vegas. I go, because he's messed with the wrong person this time. I go, I'll get him back to Las Vegas. So my slot host, of course, they're on my side, and all the other people from the other casinos, except for one asshole, I almost had him fired because he shot his mouth off. And what I did was, and they didn't get in trouble for this, but they're not there working there anymore, so it's no harm. The slot host gave me all his information, his social security number, the birthday, everything you think of to get on his card. So what I did is I knew he was on the road, so I canceled all his gas cards, all his credit cards, everything he had. I canceled and said that it was, just made something up, got them all canceled. Knowing that he'd have to drive back to Las Vegas because he always stayed in the penthouse, and that's where they'd put him. So the Las Vegas Police Department, they were all in on it and stuff. I didn't tell him about canceling his credit cards, but just waiting for him. So pretty soon my slot host calls me up in a panic. Oh my God, Tony, he just called me. He's on his way. he said that they want the penthouse and that they'll be here tomorrow. So I got a hold of the detective. Like, okay, we'll be there. He goes, just let us know when he gets there. So in the Desert Inn, they used to have a little loft up on top. You usually look down at the casino. And the Desert Inn is torn down now, but so I got there early, and I'm up there in the loft with Valerie, and it was kind of, and she wore all red, like in Dillinger. It was kind of funny. She just thought it was a funny thing we were doing. And I see him and his wife coming, and I was just steam's coming out of my ears because I just wanted to punch him. But I knew better. So she tells me, I'll go. She wants to go talk to me now. So then she texts the security officer where I'm sitting in the back with the security guys and the police guys. And they said he wants to go have breakfast. So of course they're all, feed him, feed him, make him have a big breakfast because it's gonna be the last good breakfast he had. And they said after the breakfast comes, she goes, you make a phone call to us or text us telling you on your way out. When you walk out, walk away from him. Don't get near him. Remember, he's huge. So the cop tells me, he's an older cop. He's hey Tony, you want to watch? And I was like, sure. So we come walking out, and as soon as they come out, Valerie went one way, he came this way, and then the cop just shoved him right against where their showroom was at the Desert Inn. And his wife was walking ahead of him, so she didn't see that. And she sees me, and she wanted to give me a kiss. And I turned my cheek, and I said, just get away from me. What's wrong, Tony? And I said, you know what's wrong. And then she looked back, and she saw her husband being arrested. And she goes, oh, my God, please, 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 Tony, don't let him go. And I was just like, no, I'm not letting him go. Anyway, they took him in the back, and then the cop came up to me, and he's hey, he goes, he's back there crying. He wants to talk to you. So I said, I don't want to see that fat ass. And he's no, you need to go see him. So I said, okay. So I went back there, and he's standing there huge. He towers over me, and he was crying, and he's give me some line of bullshit. And so then he's, I'll tell you what. He goes, I'll have my lawyer wire over right now $250,000 to the cage. And the cage is in the casino where you can have your money brought into. And I was like, okay. I go, you have your lawyer send it over right now. When I get the $250,000, I'll let you go. And I knew he was going to send the money. So they take him away, and the cops were out kind of making fun of him because they barely got him in the car. And then about, a couple hours later, I was in the back at the Desert Inn with my slot host, and he called, because I guess he has one phone call. And he tells Valerie, please tell Tony don't hurt my wife. And I said, I'm not going to hurt your wife. I'm not that way. So then, well, maybe, but. So then I was like, I go, okay. So then they took him, and they transported him from Las Vegas all the way to South Lake Tahoe, because that's where the money was transferred. So long story short, we went back and forth court up here, and he was sick with his throat and stuff, and he would ask the sheriffs to give him a white towel. And what he would do, he'd hack up like these big old blood loogies, on the towel. So they would cancel the court date because he's up there handcuffed, shackled and stuff. And then he would look at me and laugh because they kept canceling it. I said, okay, you can laugh. I go, I will have a last laugh. I already have, but I go, I'll have more of a last laugh. So finally, after about 3 or 4 court dates doing this, the sheriff got wise up here. So they gave him a blue towel so it wouldn't, you couldn't see the blood. So the judge tells me, he says, Anthony, he says, unfortunately, he's sick and this and this and that, and, you're not going to get your money back. He's scammed people from all over the world. He goes, but he's pretty much done now. So I told him, I said, well, I wouldn't let him out if I was you. I go, his best place for him right now is to stay in jail. And they said, well, we can't keep him because he's sick and this and that. And then I said, okay, let him out. And then for what I hear, he lasted about 3 weeks and they found him dead. And so, he must have just crossed the wrong person. And he was safer off in jail. And I never got my money back. But I got the satisfaction of getting him off the street and hurting everybody. Because I found out later that he burned everybody in Las Vegas. And everybody was too embarrassed to say anything because they fell for his crap. Same Charles Schwab account. So you have all that fame, that glory, the lights in Las Vegas and all the beautiful women and everything. But you always have them kind of scam people behind you. And you always got to be aware. even if you think they're your friends, and I thought he wasn't. It was just like I was just like a big fish, and he was just like baiting me for years to get me to bite, because he knew if he started off right from the beginning, I would have just told him to get the heck out of here, get the heck away from me, stuff like that. So after that, I stayed up to Las Vegas for quite a few while, and I just got really burned out. By the time I get there, I just and then the money was there was no thrill to it. You'd win thousands and thousands on a pull, and it's no big deal. It's just like nothing. I just lost that excitement. So what I did, it was kind of being an alcoholic. You just couldn't like stop. So I realized that that's enough, because I would lose things that people would work 1-2 years for. I'd lose in an hour, and so I just had to stop. I just had to stop. I hated to do it to my aunt, because I used to go with her, and she like I said, I was in my 30s and she was in her 70s. In fact, when we first started going, they thought I was some gigolo, and that my aunt was some big fat rich lady, because she was real fat. And I just started told my aunt, she's got a real loud voice. She's like, "What? Get those guys over here now. Pull your license out. Show them you're my nephew." And so then after a while, they knew that she was my aunt, so they kind of like thought it was kind of funny. And so then what I did, I started playing poker, and I really got into poker. I just played before, but I really got into it. I started traveling the poker circuit, World Series of Poker, the circuit events and stuff, my cash. And I just really wanted to like work on that more, and I did. I played for I would play one time I played 36 hours straight. When I stopped going to Las Vegas, I would come up to Lake Tahoe to Mount Blue now. It used to be Caesars, and then it's Mount Blue. I'd play 36 hours. I cook by myself. I go Monday to Thursday. I just stay all by myself in the casino, and I would just play. In fact, I would even eat dinner at the table. They'd bring my dinner to me, and I would just play. But I enjoyed it that much. Plus, it gave me peace of mind, because I wasn't around a lot of people I didn't want to be around, and I was in my own little world and stuff like that. And then, of course, the coronavirus came and stuff, and that kind of took out the poker thing. And plus, I got 3 children that's under 7 that I really focus on. So I kind of put the poker and everything on the back burner. And it's still not out there like it was before because of the coronavirus. I mean, they only open the table so many days and stuff, and I'd rather play large cash games than $1 here, $2 there. So yeah, I focused on that, and I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish, and a lot of stuff on that. But now, if I go to a casino, for years I won't put $1 into a slot machine. And I can't say it didn't pay off, because it did. It paid off in the a lot in the past. But I just have no interest, and I just don't want to do that. So that's pretty much my casino life. There's tons and tons of more stories I could tell in the casino, but on my other ones, we'll be here all night long. But I hope you enjoyed these 2 stories, and keep in mind, little hint from a professional gambler: you bring a bankroll. That's your bankroll. I don't care if it's $100 or $50,000. That's your bankroll. When you lose that bankroll, go home. Never, never, never dig in your pocket or pull your ATM card out to get more money to try to win the money back that you lost, because you will lose every penny you got. So, from word of advice, you start with a bankroll, and you build that bankroll, and do not touch what you have in the bank or anything. And I don't care if you lose that bankroll within an hour. Go back to your room. Go get in your car and go somewhere. Go have dinner somewhere. Do not dig. Once you dig, you're going to lose everything you got. So that's some sound advice, and keep that in mind. So I hope you enjoyed this. Please subscribe to our channel. And if you hit on the comment, leave a comment. Even if you like it or you don't like it or you have a question, leave it. Like on chapter 5, you guys left like nice questions or nice comments on the thing. It's kind of cool to see. Again, I'm Senior Grandmaster Jimenez from South Lake Tahoe, California. This is Kajukenbo Live. I'll see you next time.